What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Game Time Discussions. I'm Emory. I'm sitting here with Dustin Zimmerman. We're going to be going over our top 25. We'll talk about the AP poll a little bit and get into it, but we're going to compare and contrast. Our top 25 is going to be based on the end of the year. If you haven't watched our breakdowns, please go do it. We did the ACC, the Big 10, Big 12, the SEC, and then some of the Power 5 teams that are going to possibly make
the
it
non-Power 5
or non-Power
The
5
ones
teams
with the auto bids.
Yeah, that could get in basically. So we did all that. We're going to talk about our playoff prediction. It's a joint playoff prediction, so it's not necessarily exact based on how we would do it, but there's some good teams that made the playoffs for us. There are some good teams that got snubbed that we will start off with talking about, but it's going to be a fun video. Did I miss anything?
I don't think so. We'll talk about some fun stuff too, some interesting just in the news stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
But that came out recently.
Starting it off, Dustin's top snubs. We're looking at the Virginia Tech Hokies and the James Madison Dukes. Dustin has the Hokies going 9-3. They did not make our top 25, and it just has to do. I actually want to hear your argument before I rebuttal because, gosh, it's so easy.
Yeah, no, Kyron Jones is him. That's what it comes down to. I just trust in Kyron Jones being able to be a dual threat, take a step up from last year. A lot of close losses last year, also a lot of close wins. But with him coming back, strength schedule's 52nd. They're not in the hardest conference, obviously, which is why the SEC is so difficult because everybody just kind of rails each other.
Yeah.
And that obviously raises some teams and knocks others who probably shouldn't be knocked down. But that's what it comes down to. And just in an overall weak conference, I think they have an opportunity if they can turn some of those close losses into wins, such as against Miami. Then you could see an 8-4, 9-3 with Kyron Jones leading the way.
Okay, so easy rebuttal. This team went 6-7 last season. They then lose their top 4 pass catchers, like just not on the team anymore. Okay, and they had some good guys that went to the NFL. So Jalen Lane and stuff like that. They also lost their top running back in Bashal Tutin, who was everybody's darling in the draft. So I just don't think that this team has enough talent left. If you're just going to say Kyron Jones is going to will this team to 9 wins, I just don't think that's going to be happening. I have them at 6-6. I think I'm a little bit closer to total wins. I think it's like 6.5. So
yeah, it's 6.5 or 7.
Yeah, so I feel a lot better about my prediction than I think Dustin should about his. And then
I feel great.
Give me your rundown on the James Madison Dukes.
So James Madison, this is just one of those ones of look at the strength of schedule, right? 119th. Now, I don't think they're a top 25 team in the country. I think their record could end up at 11-1 because they are the 119th strength of schedule. And it becomes one of those like when App State used to sneak their way into the rankings or, Coastal Carolina when they would get in, or Tulane more recently.
Right.
It's one of those situations. They just have enough talent to where they could pull off this kind of season. But at the same time, I also, when we were discussing, I don't think James Madison is better than 25 other or the top 25.
Sure. Yeah. If this does happen, I would expect you to have them winning the Sun Belt, going 12-1 and possibly making the playoffs.
Yeah, just depending on the other.
Right, of course.
Non-Power 5s that we'll talk about those in a minute.
Yeah, 9-3, what I put them at, I don't think they make it. I just think the Sun Belt always beats up on each other. There's always teams that win that should not win.
Sure.
There's a lot of, just turnover in that conference. And no one ever comes out without losses, I think. So that's my biggest thing. They also do play the Raging Cajuns and Texas State, who were both teams that we talked about as teams that are a problem. So
sure. Absolutely.
I think that it's really hard for me to see 11 wins. Who is your one loss? Is it was that Notre Dame? Is that the team that plays Notre Dame, or is it someone else?
It was against a really good team, not a Sun Belt team.
Yeah.
Louisville.
Okay, gotcha. So yeah, that's tough. But they do have a schedule that kind of makes it reasonable to go 11-1, right?
It's possible.
I've seen other people put them in their playoffs, so I get it. Now my snubs. All right, and I know that you're all over UNLV, but we'll start with Utah. I had them going 10-2. I think Utah is on bounce back season. They were 5-7 last year. Their quarterback situation, just everybody at quarterback fell apart. This year they bring in Devin Dampier, who was the New Mexico quarterback, he had 16 or 1,166 rushing yards and 19 touchdowns last year. The O line is the best O line they've had. They're returning some good players on defense. They're bringing in Wayshawn Parker, who has great rushing upside. Like this team, like if you have Spencer Fanu and Caleb Lomu at your starting right, left tackle spots, and then you have these guys rushing the ball, and possibly the best top 5 O line for sure, in my opinion, for Utah. I'm going to take that team to at least go better than 7-5. I think they have the opportunity to go 10-2 and make the top 25 in our original predictions. They did not win the titles, so I don't think they make it into the playoffs though.
Yeah, I mean, my problem with Utah is they're going through an identity crisis this year. What are they going to do without Cam Rising? Like you said, it's a rebuild year. My only concern is, do they use him properly? We saw Cam Rising go down, and then Utah kind of scuffles a little bit, and then they improve some, and then lose it again. And so my concern is just the question mark there.
Sure. Kyle Winningham, if this does happen, I think is one of the coach of the year candidates if they go 10-2. So I think
if your prediction is right, I completely agree with that. My problem is I don't trust him to do that.
I think Kyle Winningham's been good. They haven't been under 500 since 2013. Last year was the first time since 2013. Cam Rising was basically the quarterback the whole time, but no big deal. I think that they make it to at least 9 wins, in my opinion.
First of all, Cam Rising is getting ready to cash out his 401k. He's been there for most of those years.
The same age as me and you.
Well, we've been out of college for a little bit. That's my point.
Oh yeah, I know.
And that's kind of my thing. And also, what did they play in the Mountain West and Big 12 in all those years?
Yeah.
So,
I mean, the Big 12 still, they're still in the Big 12. Got a little bit better, but I get it. On the other side, UNLV, I know that you don't trust them, but it's okay. I completely understand not trusting them. It's just they have the 113th ranked the schedule, and they're better than James Madison was at one night. Better team overall.
Sure.
Than James Madison was. They're bringing in a lot of transfers, 8 on offense, 9 on defense, including Alex Orji, who was the quarterback for Michigan last year. He's a rushing upside type of quarterback. That's what they like to do. They had Haj Malik Williams, who ran the ball a ton. I think there's only like a couple losable games on their schedule. UCLA, and that's at home, at Miami of Ohio, at Boise State, who is their loss that I gave them, and then Colorado State, who I think they're better than. So if you tell me they win, they win in an upset game against UCLA, they go 11-1 to me. I don't know how they lose 3 games here.
So, okay, my biggest thing with it, you want to talk about Virginia Tech having an easy rebuttal? Here we go. Last chance UNLV. Half their team is convicts or got kicked off of other schools for a reason or got injured. Justin Flo, that's a different story. I was super high on him 7 years ago or whatever, but that one's actually just sad. I do feel really bad.
I wish he would have played better for sure.
Denver Harris, though, is the exact opposite. I mean, if you want to get kicked off of 3 separate teams at varying levels too, 2 in the SEC and then UTSA, sure, by all means, do whatever you want with that. Alex Orji is not a quarterback with a rushing upside. He's a running back who can throw the ball every now and then, at best. Hence why Michigan had the worst passing offense in, I believe, the entire country last year. And for sure of the Power 5 schools, or Power 4, whatever it is.
They were pretty bad, yes.
Bring back the Pac-12. So no, I can't do it. Okay, but also I have them going 9-3. Let's be clear. I don't think they're gonna suck and go 3-9, for instance. I just don't think they're gonna be a good enough team in that strength of schedule. It's the same as James Madison. It's one of those. Yeah, they're probably gonna do good, but because they should, not because they were actually that good.
Well, they don't have any Power 4 games that are really worth noting other than UCLA, and
that's my point.
We're low on UCLA. Like it's not like we're with some of the other people that are really big Nico believers and like we're high on them. Like we have UCLA with 5 wins.
Sure.
So,
my biggest issue with UNLV is the second half of the year. How many guys are going to be on the roster
still?
That's my concern.
I get it. But yeah, so these are our snubs. Let's go over. I know that there's a couple other snubs Dustin want to talk about. I know that he wants to get on Auburn because we did not put Auburn in this. And Auburn fans have been just really beating it down recently. So
I don't know how I ended up on Auburn Twitter since I just follow A&M teams. So I guess I see the other SEC schools, but I'm seeing, some LSU, some Bama, Ty Simpson, all that kind of stuff. But for whatever reason, everything is Auburn on my Twitter. Just Auburn hype. And then the most recent stuff is Hugh Freeze getting mad at Jackson Arnold because he can't throw a simple out route. Now that's just
funny.
That's just practice though. Like that should not have been as blown up as it was. That's
Sure.
pretty stupid. Yeah. But I just do not trust Hugh Freeze. Apparently Auburn's going to run one coach calls first downs, one calls second downs, Hugh Freeze, and one calls third, except if Hugh goes, I want this play instead, then he trumps the other ones, which, as we've seen with Hugh Freeze last year, is not a good way to run the offense since he can't call an offense properly, since they had Jarquez Hunter and Cam Coleman and refused to use either to the last 4 games of the year. And then now they're giving him that power. I'm not buying it.
Yeah, I think my team that I would say is a snub, but it's kind of hard to get around is Oklahoma. I think the talent is completely there. We had them going 7-5, both of us did. But I've seen other people put them in their playoffs, and it's like, have you seen their schedule? Because they play 7 top 25 teams. Yeah. This year.
They have a very hard schedule.
The schedule is ridiculous.
I'm more low on them because their schedule.
It's only their schedule.
Florida.
Because
I think them and Florida have the top 2.
Florida and Oklahoma, the top. Yeah, I think Oklahoma's third, but it's it doesn't matter. It's impossible to be like, hey, they get wins against all these teams.
Yeah.
So I don't think that they're going to go all the way, but I wish they had an easier schedule. I really like John Mateer. I like that team. And Brent Venables is going to allow the Washington State head or OC that is coming in with John Mateer to call plays, which is great because holy hell, Brent Venables should just stick to defense. But let's go.
The one thing I'll do to cap this off is just since we're comparing and contrasting with the AP poll is UNLV got 21 receiving votes.
Okay.
They were left out. Auburn got 10. James Madison got 9 actually. And then for whatever reason, Virginia Tech didn't get any, so they're sleeping.
Crazy. Where's Utah? They're in the AP poll. Right?
No, they 27th, 144 votes.
Oh, well, there you go.
The only one higher, BYU 156.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, BYU is a whole nother story. We're not going to get into because we did not put them on this. But let's go over to the conference championship games. We're going to knock those out first because it'll all work out when we go to our playoff stuff later on. We have Alabama versus Georgia. That's a big game, obviously. Kind of who runs the SEC in recent years. We are going to be picking Georgia to win this game together. They've already played this year. Gunnar Stockton has experience at this point in the year. It's a late, conference game. Gunnar Stockton is a big question mark for a lot of people, but if they're in the conference championship game, he played well enough to get them there, and then also probably plays well enough to win the game. Kirby Smart is greater than Kalen DeBoer.
Yep, I agree with that.
That's basically the real answer.
What the whole discussion was about was how does that work? And like I've said, I'm high on Ty Simpson, but I just think Georgia overall would be better.
I think Ty Simpson's going to be great.
Yeah.
And I love the defense for Alabama. I just think in this game, I think that Georgia finds a way because they have a better coach. And that's my biggest thing. Their defense is going to be fine. CJ Allen and all that Christian, all those guys on defense. I mean, Alabama's got a great defense too. Yeah. Next up is ACC. This is kind of a one-sided thing. Clemson has all the talent. They're going to win. They're going to beat SMU. It's rematch, but I don't think it matters from last year. Clemson's going to roll, and it won't surprise me if they beat them by 3 touchdowns. Shoot.
Yeah, I mean, we saw what happened when SMU did make it, and SMU fan favorite. Love to see it happen. Yeah. I think that they win, or Clemson wins by multiple scores, though.
I love when Texas teams do well. Don't get me wrong.
No, yeah, absolutely.
Then Penn State versus Ohio State. This game is insane. First off, we're going to take my schedule because I had Penn State going 11-1. Dustin had them going 12-0. We're going to take my schedule where they lose to Ohio State earlier in the year, and I had Ohio State going 11-1 also. So that's how we got here. Penn State then beats Ohio State in this rematch because it's so hard to beat a team twice. Absolutely. And I think Penn State is our number 1 overall darling, truly. I know that a lot of people want to put them up there. They're number 2 in the AP poll. I think it's ridiculous that they're number 2, but not the point. They already played the season, like we said, but this team has all the returning players. This is Drew Aller's year. He has to do it or he's not going to be a top pick like we think he could be.
Sure.
Dustin has them as the best team in the nation, and I have them. I can't see anybody losing twice.
I mean, it's going to come down to Big Game James. And
what a guy.
It's sad because it's satirical. Sure. To be very clear, Big Game James does not win big games.
He does not.
But he's essentially the opposite of Kirby Smart, who might be the greatest coach I've ever seen in big games.
Yeah.
Just for whatever reason, brings it together. And then James Franklin does the opposite. I think he plays almost to conservative. He doesn't go for the win. He goes for the let's not lose, and it goes too long. And then that's why they get these low scoring affairs, and then they lose them. And I think this year they break through. They just have too much talent.
Yeah. I mean, I think they have all the talent.
Yeah.
Now they have to put it together, like you're saying, though. Then you got the TCU. You got TCU versus Kansas State in the Big 12. Yep. I think that TCU gets in on technicalities. Basically, they were both 8-4 for us, but because they had 2 losses in the Big 12, and the Big 12 is just so wide open and ridiculous and crazy. They get in against Kansas State, who won some big games, Arizona State and stuff like that earlier in the year. So we have Kansas State beating TCU. This will really this really messes me up, because this makes TCU an 8-5 team that does not make the top 25, even knowing they were in the Big 12 Conference Championship, which is crazy to me. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's, we talked about it on the Big 12 video, but Kansas State gets in because they're good. TCU gets in because they're lucky, and Arizona State snubbed because they're unlucky. I mean, that's just how the tiebreakers worked out.
Texas Tech gets snubbed. All these teams.
So it just is what it is. Is TCU the second best team in the conference? Probably not, but it's one of those things where that just happens sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely. So here are your conference champions. So if y'all have any, if y'all disagree with some of our breakdowns on the conference champions, or if you didn't like, obviously, our other video, or if you didn't like how they got there, go watch our other videos for the breakdowns on of the schedule and records and stuff like that. Like, comment on this video, of course, and then subscribe to it so you can keep watching these videos. We're going to get into top 25.
Yeah.
Here it goes. The first team in our top 25 is Tulane, the Green Wave.
Green Wave.
This comes off the back of us both putting them at 10-2. Me and Dustin put them at 10-2. They have the 86th strength of schedule, which is the highest by far in the American. They win the American Conference Championship. So this is a team fighting for that last playoff spot. There is a quarterback battle that is a lot of fun right now going on at Tulane. Jeff Retzlaff coming from BYU. Jake Retzlaff coming from BYU, and Brendan Sullivan, both transferring in. It's just such an interesting battle, because Jake just got there, and now he might take over the starting quarterback spot right from Brendan, who was there working for it.
I mean, the biggest problem there is, I don't know. Well, this is going to be Brendan's first year there too, because he was at Iowa last year, which is not promising of anything given their QBs. But with Jake, I never know what further issues can come from his recent legal stuff.
Yeah.
I never know if things get brought back up, or because he's a preferred walk-on, I believe.
Yes.
So that I think that was only technically he had to do that because of the transfer portal and all that.
Well, they were out of scholarships and stuff. Yeah.
And so, it's one of those things. That's not to say he's not a scholarship QB, but I just don't know the legality and what's going to happen there.
Right. Talent-wise, he's a starter.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
Talent-wise, Jake is the starter, but we just don't know. Like you said, this is the team that has the toughest out-of-conference schedule. They play Duke and Ole Miss. If they can find a way to win one of those games, I would put them over our other non-power 5 team.
Oh,
personally,
don't jump ahead so much. But
personally, they are the dark horse to me for the college football playoff. I think it wouldn't surprise me if they get in there more talented than their conference. If they can win a game between Duke and Ole Miss, I think they're in.
Yeah, so, I mean, I would even argue it depends which one though. Like if they beat Ole Miss, for instance, I would be
they're
more
definitely
apt
in
to put them in than if they beat Duke. Now that also means they can't screw up.
Well, yeah. Well, I get it. Let's talk about another team that they're playing. So we had them flipped, and then I was like, wait, we have to put Tulane behind Ole Miss because there's a head-to-head here.
Right.
So Ole Miss in both of our records beat Tulane, so they are at 24th. I had them at 8-4. Dustin had them at 9-3. Lane Kiffin, third-ranked transfer portal. Yeah. He always does well. He's already making Twitter posts and making me laugh on Twitter right now. So he's a guy that I just enjoy, even if I don't love all of his coaching philosophies. I don't like that he loses random games. I like him as a person, and maybe I don't cheer for him because he was a Raiders coach and we sucked when he was there, but
he's sucked at quite a few places.
Sure.
He is the original joke of left on the tarmac.
Yes.
Because he got left on the tarmac.
Good.
So, But like I've said, I love Lane Kiffin. Not as a coach, just I think he's a hilarious human being.
Exactly.
And I love to cheer for him. That said, he's also underutilized transfers over the past couple of years, and then lost games he should win. And because of his style, he is very much like basically a college video game style. But, I think he's almost been carried by his insane talent rather than being like Kirby Smart, where he improves everyone that he brings in.
Yeah, he boosts it. Austin Simmons is going to be the quarterback this year. He was a 3-star, incorrectly rated, basically, in my opinion. He is absolute stud. Yeah. But they do lose like everything on their defensive line and their skill players. So replacing and replenishing is going to be hard, in my opinion. That's why they do not win more games than we gave them. But they did have the 16th strength of schedule, which is really low in the SEC.
Well, I was about to say, basically, if you're in the if your name is in the SEC's conference 10 website, then you're up there in strength of schedule. Which again, like I was talking about earlier, is one of those teams are going to get beat down.
5 top 25 matchups for them. Yeah. In the AP polls, not in ours, but in the AP polls.
I think at least half the SEC has that.
Well, I'll tell you, we're going to talk about the next team. Yeah. It is the LSU Tigers, and that is a big disappointment to a lot of people. But LSU plays 7 top 25 matchups. I don't know if I think they're as good as everybody else does, but Nussmeier's already dealing with a hamstring or an injury. I don't know what injury it was. Not hamstring.
It was just a lower patellar tendonitis. He has a history of Osgood-Schlatters. So if you don't know what that is, a lot of like kids, teenagers, you'll get kind of some swelling right below your knee in the front. It'll cause pain, and then it can inflame the patellar tendon, which runs into that. That's where it comes from. So it's one of those chronic things. He's going to have flares every now and then. Shouldn't hold him back from games. We're not saying he's going to be out or anything like that. Right. And he shouldn't be.
He's just going to be slower moving.
He already is. Yeah. That's kind of the problem, and why I'm not any higher on LSU is Nuss. Well, he's also their greatest asset. He's potentially their greatest detriment.
You also want to know who the greatest detriment is? Brian Kelly.
Oh, well,
don't forget about that guy.
On the playable people on the roster.
Brian Kelly is the biggest problem, in my personal opinion. Yeah. He just underperforms. Running back Caden Durham is really good. Yeah. They brought in Nick Anderson, Baron Brown to add to Aaron Anderson and Chris Hilton Jr. Those guys are awesome. Yeah. Their O-line, they're having to rebuild, though. They lost 4 starters off the O-line to the draft. And then their schedule, like we said, they play Clemson in non-conference week 1. Yeah. They play Florida, South Carolina, A&M, Ole Miss, Bama, and OU. I just don't know how they don't lose 3 or 4 of those games. Out of all those teams I just named, they should lose 3 or 4 of those games, in my personal opinion.
Oh, and one of their biggest weapons was Mason Taylor, and he's not there anymore.
He's not there.
They have a sophomore in Trey'Dez Green, and then Bauer Sharp behind him.
Yeah.
So the tight end room is going to take a hit.
Yeah. So I'm not as high. Yeah. I think there's some people that think they're going to win the Natty, and I just don't.
It's more than some people. There's a good amount. I'm not there though.
Exactly. Let's go over to the first ACC team on the list. That is going to be the Miami Hurricanes. We couldn't leave them off the list. They would have been on my snubs list because Dustin had them going 7-5 this year, and I had them going 10-2. They had the 5th overall transfer portal. Carson Beck was the biggest name on that list. I think Carson Beck's still good, but they do lose a ton of skill players. Damian Martinez, Elijah Arroyo, Xavier Restrepo, Sam Brown. All those guys are gone. Yeah. And they have a tough out-of-conference schedule versus Notre Dame and Florida. But at the same time, I just think they're in the ACC, and they win 9 games minimum, in my personal opinion.
I just can't trust Mario Cristobal.
Sure.
I think last year they would have been an 8-4, 9-3 team if Cam Ward wasn't Cam Ward. And that's, because they should have lost to California. They should have lost to Virginia Tech.
They did lose to Virginia Tech.
I still stand on
that. Hold on.
They should have lost to California.
Yes.
Duke was up on them by 2 scores at home.
And then they beat them by 2 scores.
And that's
3
the
scores.
With Miami is they don't even get a home field advantage.
Right.
Because their stadium's an hour or something away from campus. And nobody wants to stand out in Miami heat for 3.5 hours to watch a Mario Cristobal offense. So
sure.
They don't even get that aspect of it.
Yeah, no, Miami is such an interesting team because of that dynamic of not having home field.
Yeah.
It's always, it's not an away game. It's just a neutral site every time they're at home.
Yeah, which is so weird because like when you're looking at, I want to pick the home team in this game. They're close enough. I'm going to side with whoever's home. And then I see Miami. I'm like,
are they?
They don't even fill up the stadium.
It's like 60% Miami, 40% the other team. Yeah, no, I get it. Let's go over to the last team on this grouping. It's going to be the Washington Huskies. I really am on this Washington team. I really like them. I'll let you talk about Jed Fish here in a second, but Damon Williams Jr., we had a short about him. He's a stud. If he takes a step up, this could be a college football playoff team. Denzel Boston returned to practice today from his injury, so he is going to be ready to go week 1. And Jonah Coleman is an absolute stud. Their defense is solid. Takario Davis got coming in from Arizona to come back to play with Jed Fish. I mean, they're loaded. I think they're one of the better Big Ten teams, and they could upset some people. They only have 4 top 25 AP poll teams.
Yeah, I mean, Jed Fish is legit. That's what it comes down to. When he was at Arizona, 2019, they went 4-8. COVID shortened year, they went 0-5. And then his first year, they go 1-11 because he had absolutely no one there. Everyone left. And then he raises them to 5-7 and then 10-3. And then he goes to Washington. His entire team leaves because they follow either Kalen DeBoer or other Power 5 teams. And I just expect them to take that step up. And then, like you said, with Damon Williams Jr.,
Stud.
I'm just excited to see what he can do.
Yeah, absolute stud. Super excited about him. We have them both going 9-3. The next team is another Big Ten team, the Nebraska Cornhuskers, going into our 17 through 20 rankings here. Matt Rule is just a guy I want to succeed.
Yeah.
Like I really just I bet on him. I bet on Dylan Raiola, those types of guys. And now he actually has players, receivers, and in Dane Key and Naziah Hunter. So I'm really excited about those 2 guys coming in. Gives them a little bit more to their offense. They've played really well. They had good defense. They have a good schedule. Like they play 1 top 25 team for the year.
That's Michigan.
Oh, they play 2. Sorry, I apologize. They play Michigan and Penn State.
Yeah.
But otherwise, no other top 25 teams. You have them going 10-2, probably to lose to both of those teams.
Yep.
I have them going 9-3, finding another loss, but still really great schedule.
Yeah, no, I'm really excited to see what they do. Matt Rule did awesome when he was at Baylor, went to the pros, didn't do as well. He's clearly one of those guys that just does better in college. That's fine. It's really not a knock on him. It's a completely different game.
It was also Carolina.
So that didn't help.
Yeah, it did not help.
He wasn't given any benefit there. But I'm high on Raiola. I think we see him take a big step up just in his arm talent. He's obviously getting arguably the best training in the world, considering he's essentially Pat Mahomes' protege, whether Pat Mahomes knows it or not. Raiola thinks he is. And I just think he's going to be really good, and that's where it starts, especially with the Nebraska team where Matt Rule can call the defense.
Right.
And then the one thing I'll add to that is, I don't know if you watched high school football.
I watched it last night, yeah.
Dayton Raiola,
his brother,
has an insane arm.
No, he's going to be really good. He's a Nebraska commit. He's a 3-star.
Well, he's obviously Dylan's brother.
And Dylan's
very clear.
Dylan's brother, yes.
So I wonder who's training him.
And yes, he will be Patrick Mahomes 3.0 after. No, just kidding. No, but he looked great last night.
Yeah.
They did win. He plays for Buford. Georgia, and they're the 12th ranked team, now going to be moving up because they won the game against the 11th ranked team.
Yeah.
Who so it'll be really good to see what he can do after his brother leaves.
Yep.
But then we'll go over to one of our biggest teams. I mean, just one of our favorite teams. Dustin's even higher than me, and that's crazy because I had this team going 9-3. I just love the pairing quarterback plus running back duo of Haynes King and Jamal Haynes, and it's just going to be, oh man, run the damn ball, because that's what we're just going to beat the hell out of people up front.
I get why he left. I don't blame Eric Singleton Jr. at all. He's getting a much better opportunity at Auburn. No matter how much I make fun of them, it's a better opportunity for him.
Right.
And he should have left. But the Haynes backfield with Brent Key as the coach, who might be the most hype coach I've ever seen while not going overboard with it. Like when they won when they beat Florida State and he went into the crowd partying in, what was it, Ireland?
What a guy.
It's one of, like you said, with Matt Rule, you want to see him succeed. Brent Key might be one step above Matt Rule for me in terms of like coaches. I just want to see succeed. Not necessarily trusting, because I don't know him well enough yet. And it's hard when he's at Georgia Tech also. But it's one of those teams. I think they're going to get fluky wins, and they're just going to beat the hell out of teams on the line in the trenches.
Sure. Yeah, no, I agree. They did on offense. Their offensive line is going to beat the hell out of people on the run game. Yeah. But on their defensive line, they added 5 transfers across their defensive line, which was really good to see. And then they do have Kyle Efford coming back this year, and Amari Harvey, who is going to be a new watch for us for our 2026 prospects because apparently he's a stud.
Yeah, so I looked into that, and yeah, his clips are insane.
Yeah, he's a stud. Okay,
dude's insanely
I
athletic.
love guys that like to tackle, and I heard that he's that guy, which is great. Great to see.
He is not afraid to put his shoulder down.
We love to see that. So we have this team much higher than a lot of people, but we can back it up. Honestly, they play in the ACC. Like, why can't they win some games? You know.
And Georgia Tech did get 63 votes, so they're like 30th or so.
Okay, cool.
On the AP poll. So just for comparison.
Yeah. There's the South Carolina Gamecocks, the next team on the board. Lenore Sellers kind of makes this team go. We need to that'll be the biggest question is like, can he do it? Both of us had them going 9-3. SEC gets a little bit more love because they are in the hardest conference. They have the 13th ranked schedule, strength of schedule, but they play 6 top 25 AP teams. If Lenore Sellers takes the next step, they are most likely a playoff team, in my opinion. But they lost so much on defense.
Yeah.
I mean, Kyle Kennard, TJ Sanders, Tonka Hemingway, Nick Emmanwori, Demetrius Knight. Everybody went to the draft.
Yeah.
But they do have one of our favorite players in Jalen Kilgore playing their nickel next year. And, they reload. Shane Beamer does a good job reloading.
Well, they also have Dylan Stewart. So
right. Completely. Yeah. Can't forget that name.
I don't think the defense is the thing I'm worried about, even though how much they lost.
The receivers.
Yeah, I mean, Nick Harper, for instance, guy's an absolute video game cheat code. Any of you who played College Ultimate Team on the new football game know that, yeah, you just throw him on a streak and you're going to score. That's what it is. But obviously life is not a video game. He has not been productive up to this point. And we just need to see that out of them. And then Shane Beamer, another one of those guys, I just want to see succeed. He's super fun.
Yeah.
A little bit too fiery. I'm not going to put him up there with Matt Rule because he does overreact to like in the bowl game. Bielema got in his head and made him storm out to the midfield, and Bielema was just standing there laughing at him.
Can you believe what they're doing?
Illinois wins. It's one of those things. It's good to fire your team up, but you have to also be able to temper that a little bit.
For sure.
I'm so high on Lenore Sellers. It's like annoying how much fun he's going to be.
Too much talent. There's so much talent for Lenore Sellers, and if he puts it together, like, we're looking at a guy that's going to possibly go first overall in this draft.
Yeah, I mean, you're looking at a potential Heisman candidate. I think that's not a hot take by any means.
But if he doesn't, and they're just like, okay, he's just okay, this team is a really worrisome team. Yeah. We had them going 9-3, but we could see 7-5, 8-4, because they don't have the talent around him, in my opinion. And their running back, what's his name? Rayshawn. I'm gonna blank. He's either injured. No, he's not injured. He had
Rasul Faison is going through waivers.
Waivers, thank you.
Looking not great.
Yes. So
last I saw,
he might not even be able to play for the team this year.
If you don't understand that, it's that the NCAA just chooses when they want to enact certain rules.
Basically, because they're in control.
there's a reason Diego Pavia is somehow still playing. So.
Yeah. Something we'll get into in a little while about Akron and Michigan when we get to it. But let's go over to the last team on here. It is going to be the Texas Tech Red Raiders. We all know that they went and killed the transfer portal, and that's the reason they get up here. I had them 10-2. You had them 9-3. Yeah. They have the 69th strength of schedule. First in the transfer portal, like we said. David Bailey, Lee Hunter, Skylar Gill Howard, and Romello Heights are basically rebuilding their defensive line. Crazy group. And then they have a proven quarterback. That's why they're so high to us. Baron Morton. One of the easiest schedules in conference. I just think this team could win out. They could win out.
There is the chance they go undefeated, to be clear.
Yeah,
it depends how quickly and how well they put all the pieces together.
Yeah, sure.
Because their team is literally an ultimate team. You just picked a bunch of cards and was like, oh, okay, I'll take him too. Yeah. Oh, cool. I can upgrade him. Sure, why not?
Running back, Joyner.
Yeah, Quentin Joyner.
The whole thing. They receivers, Mario Craver and
Mario Craver.
Sorry, he's an M. Yeah. No, but they added some receivers. Hold on.
Reggie Virgil.
Reggie Virgil. Yeah, there you go. Thank you. That's right. So just they're everywhere.
Yeah.
They're everywhere. Yeah.
This is one of those teams. I don't think they have all the hype, or they won't match all the hype this year. But if they can repeat in the portal and recruiting like they're doing, because they just recently beat out Georgia for a 5-star, then the next 4 years you're looking at a potential dynasty.
Yeah. How about that oil money? All the oil money.
I saw one artist rendering, and it was their stadium, and instead of big like pylons or like columns in the corners, it was the big oil rigs shooting fire.
They should honestly just put those out there because oh my gosh, that's what I mean. They are ready to take over, and they could be they could be the Big 12 champ. In a conference that's not necessarily extremely talented, and then they could make a run at the college football playoff, no problem. The next team is a team that we love. We love the Florida Gators, but the problem is they have played the first overall strength of schedule, and they have 7 top 25 teams. We have them going 9-3, and it's literally because we can't give them more wins. It's so hard to give them give them 10-11 wins when they're playing all these upper echelon teams.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know who pissed off Greg Sankey, the commissioner of the SEC, but he has just decided that Florida's not allowed to be good
2 years in a row.
Yeah, which I know it usually that starts, it cycles every couple of years, and it should, hopefully for them, just get better. But my big concern is Lagway. I need him to not get hurt every other game. Now, that being said, he's obviously got a full off season in the Florida strength and conditioning program. He's, more composed, should now know what risks he can't take, that kind of thing. And he's not having to play, alternating with Graham Mertz, which is, I don't know why every state of Florida coach decides to do dumb things, but
don't remind
Florida
me.
State included. They're not on here
Miami,
for a reason.
Miami,
all of them.
All of them.
Who was it? Tom Herman when he was at Florida Atlantic?
Yeah, it's the whole thing, man. I will say they also, including to the schedule, they play Miami out of conference. Like they have on top of their own SEC schedule, they also have to play Miami out of conference.
Without even looking up what I put for that, I know I have them beating Miami. I don't know if
you had 7-5. I don't remember what I had.
You have Florida losing to Miami.
I have them losing.
I don't know. We'll see. It'll be fun.
It's going to be
even if 4, write it down. That's going to get discussed.
Even if Miami's at home, I mean, shoot.
Home.
It's not home. So, I think I think Florida is built and ready to be good. It's just they get screwed by their schedule and they have to play the toughest schedule. Ranked 16th with 3 losses by both of us.
Yeah. The 2 things I'm scared of as a fan of a different team that Florida is going to do in the upcoming years is get a better schedule and get a better coach. If they do those things and keep up their recruiting and getting guys like DJ Lagway, that team's going to be scary.
Everybody hates Billy Napier, I swear.
They should.
No, I mean, I get it. I mean,
let me just alternate QBs for an entire game. That's a good idea. One scores a touchdown, next guy up.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
Let's go over to the next team. It's going to be the Indiana Hoosiers. I've seen some people really down on Indiana, and I don't get it because you have Kirk Cignetti. It doesn't matter. That's what I'm going to say.
The guy just wins. Look at his records. Google him.
Yeah, exactly. His literal saying, all I do is win. But I will say too, Fernando Mendoza is really good, and he's going to be going from Cal to Indiana. They've really done a good job picking their quarterbacks and for their system. Fernando Mendoza, another one. I think he's he could be in that conversation of the top 5 quarterbacks in the draft next year. So he has to he could step up big. Talent all over the field. Surratt on defense. They have Mikel Kamara and D'Angelo Pons and Aiden White at linebacker. Just a bunch of studs. Yeah. So I like this team.
And the hardest games are Illinois, Iowa, Oregon, obviously, and then Penn State. And I think both of us agree they'll lose to Oregon and Penn State, but they should, or they at least have a chance to win those other 2.
Yeah.
And then every other game should. There's not much discussion on either of our parts.
Nope. So let's go over to the next team. It's going to be in the Big Ten again. It's going to be the Michigan Wolverines. And
ready for the soapbox.
I'm going to let you do this. You got it.
Fun fact, we actually have them at the same, because we made this before the AP poll came out. And we have the same ranking as the AP poll. They also have them at 14th, which is just funny.
You got it.
But Michigan, okay. I think they will take a step up. Last year was more fluky than anything. They actually have a QB who can throw now. So that's important. Bryce Underwood is almost similar in the aspect of he's a stud, but will he do it in year 1? Kind of like with Austin Simmons at Ole Miss. He's going to be really good. Is he going to be good this year is the question. But the rest of the team is good enough to get them into this top 20 area, top 15. We have them at 14. My biggest thing right now with Michigan is that their recent penalties that came out literally this morning, at the time of recording this came out like an hour ago, is they are not really going to get any penalty. They have to pay a $20 million fine, and their coach Jerome Moore is going to be out for 3 games. They added an extra game, which Michigan gets to choose which game. And if you know anything about scheduling, he's going to not show up for their 3 easiest games. So, which just makes sense. I would do the same. That's just logic. That said, they chose not to give them a postseason ban or anything affecting their record this year because how did the NCAA word it? They don't want the actions of prior coaches and staffers to affect current student athletes. My biggest gripe with this, and why I said the NCAA chooses when to make rules and when not to, is Akron. Don't get us wrong, Akron's not anything to talk about, but they have a postseason ban this year, and they're one of those teams that can sneak in 6-7 wins and make a bowl. We see teams do it all the time and end up in the smaller bowls early in December or mid-December. But they get a postseason ban because of players the last few years who were academically ineligible, or their academics were just so bad that their APR, which is what the NCAA uses to assess academics, disqualifies them from playing the postseason this year. And the question is, why do those former actions affect current student athletes versus Michigan's former actions not affect current student athletes?
Because it's Michigan.
And we know the answer. But again, the NCAA picking and choosing when to let things happen and when not to is unbelievable that there aren't more lawsuits. I do not get it.
No, I get it. I get what you're saying. Let's talk about Michigan as a whole, as a team. Yeah, so they're 14th on our board and on the AP polls. Ours is of course at the end of the season, so they've already played all their games. I had them going 9-3. Dustin had them going 11-1, which is just ridiculous.
Yep, Bryce Underwood
is a freshman, true freshman.
He'll be fine. That guy's built like more than a true freshman.
Sure, I get it. But they're going to win a lot of games just with their defense alone. It's kind of like last year. They went 7-5 with just their defense. They're not returning necessarily all their defense, but guess what? They just reload. They're bringing Rayshawn Benny on the D-line, edge Derek Moore, linebacker Jayshawn Barm, Jair Hill, Rod Moore, and name some names, right? So they have guys.
Loaded.
Yeah, they're absolutely loaded on defense. They're going to win a lot of games because of that. And they have by far the easiest conference schedule. They play the whole bottom tier of the conference.
Yeah.
And that's so, yes, they play OU and out of conference. And I think they're going to lose that game, But after that, it's like they could run. They're not going to run the table because they still have to, they're probably going to lose a game in there because they're not good enough talent-wise, in my opinion.
The rest of their season, though, the 3 hardest teams, arguably Nebraska. No, after OU. So we both have losing that one. Nebraska, USC, I guess.
Washington,
and then Ohio State. Which anytime you're talking about a rivalry game, it's a coin toss to me. Sure. And Ohio State can't beat Michigan, apparently. Or Ryan Day can't, at least.
Right, yeah.
So, and this one's at Michigan, which that is a massive stadium. So
yeah. So 11-1 for Dustin, 9-3 for me. Putting him at 14, it feels gross, but at the same time, they have such a great conference schedule that it's just like they're going to fall into all those wins and maybe beat Ohio State at the end of the year like they do every year and sneak into the playoffs.
Yeah.
It's going to be annoying.
I mean, literally last year, they had one of the best defenses and arguably the worst offense.
Literally the worst passing offense, like you said. And
interesting, because you like Orgy at UNLV.
He's not going to throw the ball. That is a big difference in level. There's a big difference in level between the two teams, because you're playing in the Big Ten with a much worse schedule last year than they have this year. Let's talk about the last team now that Dustin's done talking about Michigan. The SMU Mustangs. So SMU, like we said, is from Texas, so we like seeing Texas teams do well. They are 43rd on the strength of schedule. They only play 2 teams in the top 25 AP poll. They're going to lose the conference championship like they did last year to Clemson, and they will be the first team out. And the reason they're the first team out is because of what we saw last year. Penn State beats them 38-10, and in the fourth quarter was their first touchdown. So they were 31-3 going into the fourth quarter. They're getting the crap beat out of them. And that's why they're not going to make it, in my personal opinion.
I mean, if that was the final game of the year and not a playoff where Penn State had to rest their starters and stuff, it would have been 50-something to 0 if they wanted it to be.
Sure.
That's how bad Kevin Jennings was. And I loved Kevin Jennings.
Oh, I'm a Kevin Jennings
I don't know
fan.
if he had the yips. He had a bad game. They obviously happened. Maybe it was a bad game on the worst stage. But at the same time, if they replicate last year and then you go, are they the 12 or the 13? And then you go, well, last year this happened. And I don't expect them to do as well in the conference championship this year. So that'll also play into it. That's how they end up at 13.
They have a solid secondary group. They have solid O-line. They've got some, athletes, but I still just think this team will not make the playoffs because of the fact that what we saw last year.
Yep.
But we do like them a lot more than probably consensus. I don't know what they are on the AP poll right
16th.
now. 17th?
16th.
16th. Okay. So we like them a little bit more than
pretty
consensus.
close to where it's at, but
sure. Yeah. So yeah, that's going to be our 25 through 13. We're about to go ahead and knock out some of the top or next grouping, which is the 8 that will have to play a game, not get a bye.
Yep.
We're going to start off with the non-Power 5 team in the Boise State Broncos. And I want to say something about this. I really think Tulane, if they can find a win, will be above Boise State because Boise State is going to lose to Notre Dame. They don't have the electricity that they had with Ashton Genty last year.
Right.
So they're not going to be shoe-ins because they have a Heisman finalist.
Right.
They will win the Mountain West Conference. They'll be 12-1. If Tulane goes 12-1, I think we have a conversation of, hey, like one team lost to Notre Dame, one team lost to Ole Miss.
Yeah.
So it's one of those questions. Boise State is not as good as last year though, but their only losable games are going to be at Notre Dame and possibly UNLV.
Right.
And then they have to play UNLV again, most likely, to win the conference.
Yeah, Boise State's going to be fun. We're both high on their QB, Maddox, and like you said, their conference, they're not playing in the SEC, the ACC, blah blah blah. I think they lose to Notre Dame. Any predictions on how badly you think they lose to Notre Dame?
We'll talk about Notre Dame here in a minute.
Yeah.
And I think that there's a really interesting conversation to have about Notre Dame that we need to go over. But sure. I think it's probably a touchdown. No. I think it's closer than you think.
I don't think it's going to be as big. I think it'll be similar to Boise State, Oregon last year.
Yeah, I think it's going to be close.
Quite the shootout that one was.
Are they going to get 200 yards out of the running back? Probably not.
No, I don't think that happens. Okay. At least Boise State won't.
Sure.
So, but I do think they'll run the rest of the table, win their conference championship. But I completely agree with Tulane. That'll be really fun to see what Tulane does.
Mm-hmm. And then we're going to go over to the next team. They will be playing the 5th team, which we'll actually introduce last. So you'll see how it all works out. But the second team to make it into the playoffs is Dustin's team, alma mater, the Texas A&M Aggies. And I think that this team is really good. I love Mike Elko. I think he's legit. I love his defense. The 8-4 curse is there because they go 8-4 every year.
Texas 8-4,
and it's very possible they do it again. But I think Marcel Reed is ready to step up. I love y'all's O-line. I really do. I love your O-line. I love your running backs.
Yeah.
I mean, there is so much talent on this team.
Yeah.
And it's like you rank talent like say like an average player, right? At a position, y'all have above average players at like 21 of your 22 positions.
Yeah.
In my personal opinion.
Yeah.
And that really, is like, okay, I can get behind that because you don't need one player to do well. You have a whole team that is able to play really well. You brought in 3 new wide receivers, Mario Craver, Terry Bussey was there, sorry, and Casey Concepcion.
We did bring in Jonah Wilson from
and
Houston,
Jonah
so
Wilson.
We did bring in 3.
Sure. But you're getting Ruben Owens back. Love him. Love him. Think he's going to be great. O-line is stacked. Armaj, Reed Adams, and Trey Zune are really great. And then Chase DeSantis is getting some serious buzz right now in the 2026 stuff. So underrated and stacked teams should be higher than they are ranked on the AP poll.
Yeah, Chase is 6'6", 315, so not a small man by any means, and really athletic. What it comes down to is can A&M get over the hump, and that's what it is. The 8-4 curse. I've seen it a lot. So the other thing is the big thing you're going to hear from A&M doubters is they've had the talent before. The 2022 recruiting class everyone looks to, and I agree because again, there's a reason Denver Harris is on his 4th team at UNLV. Elko is also a much better person than Jimbo Fisher,
sure.
And he's bringing in guys he wants and not just going 5 stars. Cool, here's a paycheck, that kind of thing. The wide receiver room was by far the worst in the conference last year. and it was pretty disgusting to watch an A&M game.
Yeah.
Outside of Marcel Reed running the ball or Le'Veon Moss, and now apparently Emmitt Smith's son is on A&M. He played for Stanford. He transferred last year. He's apparently got an extra year of eligibility. Again, the NCAA makes rules when they want to.
Fine.
So A&M has essentially 4 good backs, and then they brought in a freshman so they essentially have 5 healthy, really good running backs. Okay.
Healthy right now.
No, I've given up on knocking on wood. We lose every player
My
every year.
God.
I give up. I truly give
What are
up
we
on it. There's a
doing?
reason we go 8-4.
Hey,
So,
if anybody wants to know why A&M goes 8-4, it's because of Dustin.
whatever.
That's all I'm saying.
Probably so at this point.
Jesus.
I can't argue anymore. But it's also going to be a make or break year, because if you know anything about the administration, they're similar to Tech, and they will write the oil money paychecks.
Yeah.
The CEO of
there's a lot of money.
Exxon or multiple gas companies went to A&M, and they aren't afraid to sign the dotted line, if you will.
I knew some of the benefactors that sent money to A&M, and I'm like, them having money, and then you're like, oh, they're like at the bottom of like the lower echelon of people at the
it's insane. But there's a lot of pressure on Mike Elko to make it happen this year, because they're writing these checks, and they aren't happy with how last year ended, going 8-1 and then getting essentially obliterated by South Carolina, losing to Auburn, and then blowing a 2-touchdown lead to USC.
Consistency is the problem, because they go out and they beat LSU. They spanked LSU.
Well, they spanked LSU in the second half.
They spanked LSU.
And then I bought a Marcel Reed jersey right then.
He did. I was there.
Yeah, I was there.
But no, they absolutely spanked them. And it was fun to watch.
The worst part of that story is I was wearing my Connor Wegman jersey as I bought it.
There was a reason we bought it.
Shout out Connor. Hope he does well at Houston.
Yeah, no. But yes, A&M is definitely deserving of being in the top 12. I think that they're an insanely talented team. And I think that they're more like, if you're saying SMU versus A&M, I'm taking A&M because I watched SMU get slapped last year. And I think that A&M has the talent, if you just look at the pool, of being like much better than we're giving them credit for. Mm-hmm. Next team is going to be Arizona State. They did not win their conference, but they do go 10-2 by both of us. Not having to play in the conference championship might have been a blessing, because if they lose that game, they're probably out.
100%.
It just feels like a team that's going to run it back. They need to figure out how to replace the Scatabo production, because greatest game I've ever seen from a player, Scatabo versus Texas.
And games I've been alive for.
Greatest game I've ever seen by a player that lost. Scatabo versus Texas. He was insane. But Jordan Tyson is back. Sam Levitt's back. That connection's great. They're returning almost all of their starters. They did not use the transfer portal, like, at all. But who cares when everybody came back? So it's the hardest conference to figure out. But I think one of the stable things is going to be Arizona State. I really like Kenny Dillingham. It's one of those things.
I mean, my entire summary can be boiled down to 2 words, and that's dilly dilly. So my boy Kenny Dillingham is one of those young coaches who is fiery, but also like almost like Shane Beamer, but he doesn't go overboard with it, and he gets the best out of a team that was after the Jaden Daniels scandal when he left, and they trashed the locker room and left like trash in his locker specifically. They have down years, and then he comes in and essentially rights the ship immediately.
Projected to be last.
And then they win
in the Big 12 and then win it.
So I'm very high on Kenny Dillingham. Kanye Udo's good, coming from Army. Don't know how that transfer works, but is what it is. And then Jordan Tyson, again, knock on wood that he stays healthy this year. Is going to be a really fun 1-2 combo with Sam Levitt. Yeah,
absolutely. Let's go over to the next team, which is another Big 12 team, which is actually surprising. We're going to get, the Big 12 champion, Kansas State, actually has more losses in our situation than Arizona State. So we had a conversation about how to put them, but we ended up going with the Big 12 champ because they win the last game of the year in the Big 12.
Yeah, I think that's what it comes down to. You have to. You can't say they won the Big 12 and then they should still be behind the team that didn't even play in the championship.
Right, absolutely. So. But I had them going 9-3. You had them going 10-2. Mm-hmm. Avery Johnson plus Dylan Edwards is going to be fireworks, absolute fireworks. Improved wide receiver core. They got 4 in the transfer portal. A lot of fun there. They have a favorable schedule, even the conference championship game. which is against TCU, who they've played now twice because they play them in conference. They play Baylor, Texas Tech, Utah, TCU. Those are the losable games in the Big 12 to me, and I think that they win 2 of them, and then 7-2 gets them into the conference championship.
Pretty much.
It's pretty crazy to me.
Yeah, Chris Kleiman's done a really good job since he got there. He's a really good coach. So they seem like, a shoo-in to make it, assuming they don't, lose games they shouldn't lose.
Right, which actually Kansas State's one of the most consistent teams not to do that in the Big 12. So I think that's another reason I'm really comfortable with them. The next team, honestly, maybe too low. It is going to be.
That's what I was saying.
Well, it was really hard because we actually had Alabama losing the conference championship.
The top 8 is incredibly
difficult to rank.
Difficult, almost interchangeable to an extent.
Right.
Aside from the bye part of it all.
Yeah, we actually have our first contest, 8 versus 9 here. Alabama versus Kansas State, as you can see. They lose their SEC Conference Championship. One of the most talented teams in college football, though. Question mark, of course, is going to be quarterback because he's a new quarterback in Ty Simpson, which we both like. We think he's going to be good. One of the best O-lines in football. One of the best secondaries. Best defense overall to me. And you can't forget about Ryan Williams. This team is stacked, loaded. Can Kalen DeBoer get over the hump?
I mean, but is it even get over the hump when he's made the national championship before?
His hump is Alabama,
right?
Because they're going to get rid of him if he doesn't.
I guess my point is that it's not even a hump; it's just meet expectations, and I don't see why they wouldn't this year.
Talent,
if he could do it with Washington and beating a really good Texas team to make it to the national championship, I have no idea why he wouldn't be able to. Now, if they screw up and lose games like Vandy again, then his seat gets hot because he's also got the downside of following Nick Saban, and they don't like that.
Talking about schedule, they play at Georgia, at Missouri, versus Tennessee, at South Carolina, versus LSU, versus OU, and versus Auburn, who we already talked about. So all of those teams, that's a really tough schedule. So I had them losing 2 games, you had them losing 1. And I just think it comes down to the schedule is tough, and they find a way to lose a couple games, but at the same time they make the conference championship, and then they lose, and that puts them at 8.
Yeah.
We have other SEC teams we're going to talk about in a second that I don't know that we couldn't have flipped and gotten a little higher.
Like I said, you could argue some interchangeability here.
Right here on this next team. Let's go. Number 7, Notre Dame. Notre Dame is a really interesting conversation. You asked about them in the Boise State game and how close it was going to be. Problem for Notre Dame is they don't even know who the quarterback is.
Nope.
Yet.
And I even saw, I think On3 reported it like yesterday that it flipped now. Carr is no longer.
So it's Kenny?
Yeah.
Minchie?
Yeah, they think he has a slight advantage, whatever that means. I don't know what the reporters are truly saying or if they're trying to create buzz.
Right, of course.
But usually by now, given that the season kicks off in the week 0,
next week.
But Notre Dame playing their first game in 2 weeks. You got to figure things like that out because you're practicing with the ones and, sure, they're probably alternating reps with the ones and stuff, but you need those reps when you have 2 guys who are not established veteran QBs.
Just that. They're different. One is a running quarterback. One is a pocket passer. CJ Carr is the pocket passer. The reason I think Kenny Minchie might be the guy is because he's a rushing type and they loved Riley Leonard and what he brought last year, which is understandable. He was a gamer. Right? Absolute gamer. But it's more so, can this team make it through the first 2 games with at least 1 win if they don't know who the hell their quarterback is? Because they're at Miami, which is actually at Miami because you're considering a team out of Indiana going down to Miami. And even if it's an hour away.
Okay, stadium's 60% full.
Sure, right. And then versus Texas A&M,
I have Notre Dame losing to A&M.
So do I.
I think
so do I.
Too.
Yeah, that's who I had them losing to. But
we both have them beating.
If they have 2 losses, it wouldn't surprise me. And then they play Boise State. This could be a 9-3 team that doesn't make playoffs.
If we see 0-3 Notre Dame, I will
lose it.
I don't even know the right verb to throw in right here.
Terrible.
And I would hate it because I love Marcus Freeman.
Mm-hmm.
I love good young coaches who look like they are building an absolute career for themselves and guys who are truly impassioned like Marcus Freeman is. I don't see them losing the first 3. Obviously, you don't either.
No.
But if that happened, I think I'd have to question everything I've ever known about college football.
That's fair. I mean, there's just some question marks here, like that's my thing.
Well, I'm trying to. I don't even know a good example because I don't want to say Florida State because that was
Oh, that was a whole
different
Good
thing.
God.
But I'm trying to think of where. I mean, almost Florida last year, but Notre Dame obviously doesn't have as bad of a schedule.
Right.
Where they could lose games like Florida with DJ Lagway probably beats A&M.
There was a couple of
but then they
Texas
chose not
years, a couple of like when Texas started to be bad. Tom Herman, Charlie Strong was there. Like that kind of disappointment is probably my best thoughts.
Wasn't even we haven't decided a QB, and that's the biggest question.
Right.
They had a guy that just wasn't good.
Yeah.
Like Tyrone Swoops, who can run through a wall but can't throw it at all. So.
Or Case McCoy instead of Colt. They took the Walmart version.
You're gonna
little brother
start a riot if you make fun of any McCoy family member in the state of Texas.
Look.
He's a realtor.
If now. I don't, no, I actually,
they both are.
Yeah. So my dad knows them through their stuff.
Yeah, my cousin too.
Jordan Shipley, we hunted with him when we were little, and I know everybody that's a Texas fan was a big. I have pictures with him in the blind. Like great guys. It's just that was a bad time when Jackson Shipley got there and Case McCoy got there.
Are we going to do the little brother thing?
Bad time.
It didn't go well.
Bad time. Let's go back to Notre Dame. Very talented team. Jeremiah Love, best running back in the nation. Jadarian Price, best backup in the nation, probably.
I would put Penn State.
Sure. Okay.
Potentially A&M, depending on
maybe Texas.
Is a big thing.
CJ Baxter and Trey Wiseman. Yeah. They are too. Yeah.
They are destroying the running back game in the NFL now too.
This is the best wide receiver group we've seen. For Notre Dame, Jaden Greathouse, Jordan Faison coming back, both of them, and then Malachi Fields coming in from Virginia. A top 5 offensive line, and Anthony Knapp, Emil Wagner, and then Charles Jigusa is an absolute stud that can't seem to get on the field. He played 2 games last year at left tackle and was him.
You watch Notre Dame's defense last year, and it's not hard to understand. Their defense was good enough to where you didn't need to.
Well, they also have the defense back. Don't worry. They have a ton of defensive players.
The whole team's insane.
Leonard Moore and Christian Gray, probably the best quarterback duo in the nation. So it's a really good team. There's a lot of question marks that I don't like at this time of year, though, if that makes sense.
The biggest possible question mark you can have is the one they have.
Yes,
the rest
the
is
quarterback.
Fine.
The quarterback.
But the problem is they kind of need to figure that part out.
Well, they could probably win some games just handing the ball off to, their 2 running backs, though.
Speaking of quarterback controversies, you could go back to the A&M years when they were supposed to be amazing, and they had Kyle Allen and Kyler Murray, and then both transfer at the end of the year.
That was fun.
They piss off both of them.
There you go. Let's go over to the number 6 team. It is going to be Ohio State. Ohio State loses to Penn State and falls out of the top 4 for the second year in a row. Last year, we know that they won the Natty, so it didn't really matter, which we had picked. I had them going 11-1. You had them going 9-3. Basically have to replenish their whole team, whole D-line, most of their O-line, quarterback, running backs, wide receivers, somewhat. And then some of their defense backs, but it doesn't really matter because they have the top 2 players in the nation. Caleb Downs and Jeremiah Smith are freaking studs.
Yep. All on each side of the ball is insane, too.
They literally have the number 1 2026 draft guy and number 1 2027 draft guy. Yep. It's crazy.
It's unbelievable. But Ohio State, their only issue is the question marks essentially everywhere else. Quarterback, how's Julian Sayin going to do? Running backs, how are they going to come in and do? Because they are losing a very dynamic duo in Travion and Quinshon Judkins.
They did get C.J. Donaldson out of West Virginia.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, they replenished well.
Sure.
But did they replenish well enough to do what they did last year? And can Julian Sayin be a field general like Will Howard was too? Will Howard was talented, but his best thing was his leadership. And he was able to manage a game. And will they be able to do that? And can Ryan Day beat Michigan?
Sure. Absolutely. Schedule wise, they play 4 top 25 matchups. They play UT, Washington. UT first game of the year, going to be an absolute insane game. Lee Corso's last game he's ever going to do College game day. Just, I
think it's 5 now because Michigan got thrown in the top 25.
Is it 5?
Yeah, because it's Texas, Washington, Illinois, Penn State, Michigan.
Is Washington top 25?
They are for us.
No. This is for the A people. Yeah.
Boring.
Sorry.
Ours is better.
But UT week 1 is going to be insane.
Yeah.
I expect UT to win that game. And then from there, I had them winning 11 games. Now, you had them winning 9. Fine. I don't think they lose to Michigan this year. I think they rewrite that ship. But if they don't, they are going to be out of the playoffs, and it's going to be a crazy situation to have. First game in the playoffs is going to be against one of our dark horses in Texas A&M. Now, I know that Dustin is biased. I know he's absolutely biased when it comes to A&M. But I'm not as biased. and I believe in this Texas A&M team a lot. So we're going to see what happens. I think they're just as talented, and they're going to be playing, I believe, at Ohio State. The first round is at home.
Yeah, home teams.
So that'll be an issue. But otherwise, I think that Texas A&M has a chance. We'll talk about that whole thing in a minute, but it's going to be a fun game to watch for sure if that does happen.
I hate when Emory gets my hopes up.
I'm sorry. The last team is going to be Texas because they did not win the conference championship. They didn't play in it.
They didn't even make it. No.
So they jump Alabama, who played in it, and it's just because of the fact that Alabama has more losses and Texas has a chance to be one of the most stacked teams in football, period.
Yep.
Arch Manning era has begun. We have Arch Madness. I loved that. That saying was amazing.
Solid one.
Was that Fox? One of the big companies put it out, and I was like, oh my gosh, Arch Madness. Why didn't we think of that?
Yeah.
We missed out for sure. Possibly the best running back room in the nation. Trey Wisner, CJ Baxter is back, and then Jarek Gibson.
Mm-hmm.
All three of those guys are studs. Probably a top 10 defense. Colin Simmons, Michael Taft, Anthony Hill, who we didn't even mention on the SEC show. We were talking about so many other people.
Yeah.
I realized that when I was like watching it back, I was like, oh man, what's wrong with us?
We only named 50 players.
Yeah.
And can't fit them all in. We tried.
Anthony Hill, we should have named.
Yeah.
And then Malik Muhammad. They do have a tough schedule to go undefeated. I think it's impossible to go undefeated in the SEC. But at the same time, this team is one of the best impossible teams that could go undefeated.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I would say you said they're probably top 10 defense. I would say if they're anything less than top 10, it was a disappointment. And DC should just be fired at that point because they are absolutely stacked
talent-wise.
Defense.
Yeah, sure.
The bigger issue with them is going to be Arch Manning, just because it is still a question mark. We saw him have some fun times, do well last year. We also saw him do really, really
that
poor.
Georgia game everybody did poor.
Right, exactly. But they do also bring in Jack injuries, and younger QBs rely on their tight ends. And Jack injuries is a really good tight end.
Yeah.
And then, there's no possible way you can't key on the run against this Texas team because their running backs and offensive line are so good.
Yes.
So Arch is going to have his opportunities, to say the least.
No, I think that Arch is going to be good. I'm so happy, and I keep reiterating this, that he sat behind Quinn.
Yeah.
I think it was the best thing for him, and I'm glad he's, going to come back another year.
Yep.
Thanks for his grandpa telling us that for sure now. But, so I actually think that Arch is in the best position to succeed.
Sure.
So let's hope that he can do that. Like I've said in the past, my wife, she went to Texas, so hopefully they do well for my own livelihood at my house.
100%.
But yeah, I think Texas is really good at football. I think my only loss was at Florida, and I think that that's just a tough game, and I think Florida's good, and going into Florida is tough. But otherwise, didn't have any other losses for him. So that's just how it kind of played out. Let's go over to the top four. Now, the first team on the top four is my least confident team by far.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely least confident team by far. The problem is they have one of the easiest schedules to do this. We put them at 11-1, both of us. But right now you're talking about no receivers. Decory Moore is their starting, receiver that we're just really high on. He is a freshman. We've done this before though. We've seen Ryan Williams be good. We've seen Jeremiah Smith, Cam Coleman. So it's possible. He's the projected wide receiver 1 though. Dante Moore hasn't played since he played at UCLA, and he was not very good. So now he's coming back and playing now for a Dan Lanning offense. Got to sit last year behind, I can see his face, from Hawaii. Why am I blanking? What's his name?
Which one?
The one that plays for the Browns. I know his name. I can see his face.
Dylan Gabriel?
Thank you. Oh. Dylan Gabriel. He would sit behind Dylan Gabriel. I think it was the best thing for him. But Evan Stewart's out for the year. Basically, Kenyon Sadiq and Decory Moore are going to be your guys to look for this year.
Yeah.
This team could be a number 1 offensive line, but at the same time, they're all transfers, so we don't know. Top 5 defensive unit returning, luckily. And they added Dylan Thieneman, but it's just a really big question mark because they have no wide receivers, and they've banked on wide receivers for many years.
And if you haven't heard yet, Jerion Dickey, who's a 5-star wide receiver, is suspended indefinitely.
That's fun.
So they are now down 1 more, and their depth chart at wide receiver is slowly growing slim.
Yeah, they're going to have to run the ball. Mekhi Hughes did come in, but geez Louise. Yeah, it's just I'm a little bit more nervous about this team, but the schedule leans correctly for them, in my opinion.
That and Dan Lanning's really good.
He is. He's great.
I trust in Dan Lanning.
Sure. Okay. You have no players, but you can just in the quarterback or the coach. I mean,
well, it's going to depend on if another receiver gets hurt like DeCorian Moore, that team's in a lot of trouble because no matter how good Dante Moore is, if his receivers can't get open,
it'll be
it doesn't matter.
Kenyon Sadiq
Yeah.
at tight end.
Yeah.
He's great. We love him, but geez,
you can only do so much.
It's tough.
I mean, we saw Max Clare at Purdue last year. Amazing year.
Purdue
wasn't.
Ofer.
Yeah. So
let's go.
Do so much there.
Let's go talk about a team that I'm way more confident in. That is the Clemson Tigers. I love this team, and I think they could be the only. This is the team that I think could go undefeated, win out 16-0. Like this is the one because they play in the ACC. They don't have the hardest out of they have a hard out of conference schedule in LSU and South Carolina.
Yeah,
but LSU we're down on. South Carolina is a question mark team in my opinion, and then they don't play difficult teams in conference in the way of we're just super worried about even Miami or SMU when they play the conference championship. Like this team is the most stacked team in football. This is Dabo Swinney, nurture versus transfer. Okay.
Yep.
Because he has nurtured these guys, brought them in, let them go through it, and they have some of the best football players in college football. Cade Klubnik, Heisman hopeful, top 3 wide receiver core is just insane with Antonio Williams, Brian Wesco, and TJ Moore. Defensive line is the best in the nation. Peter Woods and TJ Parker are top 5 players in the draft class. It's just this team is completely ready to go, except for they have one issue. They have a starter at running back, which is a freshman in Gideon Davidson. He is the only freshman, obviously, starting on this team,
right?
And that's because they lost Phil Maffa.
Right. So, I mean, yeah, I agree. This is a team that could go undefeated. I have them losing to South Carolina at the end of the year and then Georgia Tech, but that could easily be a 12-0 season. Brian Kelly doesn't win in week 1, so that's an easy check mark for Clemson.
Yeah, absolutely.
Free win to start the year off. And then, like I said, outside of that, the only 2 I'd be mildly concerned about would be South Carolina and Georgia Tech. South Carolina also doesn't look as good as necessarily last year either. So
yeah, I had them losing to Louisville, and I just think fluke games in the middle of the year against good teams.
Georgia Tech.
You know what I mean? That's kind of how things could happen.
Exactly why I picked them.
Yeah, Georgia Tech beat Georgia last year.
Yeah.
In quadruple overtime or whatever it was. When they had no business doing that. So I think that that's kind of the same feeling as just Louisville could find a way to win, but Clemson is going to be. They should have the best odds to make the playoffs, in my opinion.
Yep.
The next team is going to be the SEC champion in Georgia. Georgia Bulldogs are, going to redo it. It comes down to, Kirby's the best coach at getting the most out of his team. They play great defense. I never have to worry about that. Biggest issue is going to be their O-line. Can Gunnar Stockton step up, but they did improve their wide receiver core. They got Noah Thomas, Sakai Branch, and then Oscar Delp, Lawson Lucky at tight end. O-line, of course, we'll see, but schedule is extremely forgiving.
Yeah. They get to host Bama, host Ole Miss, host Florida, host Texas. They'll be on the road at Tennessee, who does not look near as scary as they did last year.
Hey, Rocky Top, baby.
I don't trust Josh Heupel.
I don't either.
We'll just end it there. But all that being said, Gunnar Stockton impressed me when he came in last year, got his head taken off against Texas, and then just kind of sort of stumbled the rest of the game, but he did it, and they won.
17 of 20 for 2 games.
Yeah.
That's really solid.
A big part of their offense is going to be, can their receivers stop dropping the ball?
Yeah.
And then they tried to right that by bringing in 2 guys with sure hands, Noah Thomas and Zachariah Branch. So, they've got all the pieces. Kirby Smart's obviously a top coach in the country, as we were saying. And then the defense is the Georgia defense. So
O-line is the biggest issue, like I said. But if they can figure that out and right that, I think they'll be fine.
And again, with Kirby Smart, he seems to elevate his players.
Mm-hmm.
So even a question mark area for them as a whole, I typically don't.
Just remember, last year was a down year for Georgia.
Right. And also just talent-wise, it was the worst team we've seen under Kirby Smart.
And it did not matter.
No.
And it won't matter.
They just didn't dominate teams.
Sure. But they still won all the games. So it doesn't matter. So Georgia at 2. And then our last team is going to be our darling, the Penn State Nittany Lions. They are going to be number 1 overall. It has a lot to do with the fact that they just came off of a win against Ohio State. Dustin had them going 12-0. This would be them winning 13-0. I had them at 12-1 after that game.
Yep.
Talent is everywhere, Drew Aller, and then they added receivers, so we can't make that excuse anymore. Kyron Hudson from USC, Devontae Ross from Troy, and Trevor Pena is the guy that I'm really excited about from Syracuse.
Mm-hmm.
They have okay, their running back core is, talented enough to be in the rivalry of like top 3 in the country.
Oh yeah. I think you have to put him top 3.
Yeah, and then possibly top 10 offensive line in football.
Yep.
Defense is stacked. They have DDS at edge, Zane Durant in the inside, AJ Harris, who we love. He was our number 8 overall guy going in the mock draft. Zakee Wheatley, etc. They're everywhere. Yep. Can they, make it through the Big Ten this year and actually win the conference championship is a real question. They lost to Oregon last year, 45-37, and schedule is fine.
Yeah.
You
host Oregon, host Indiana, on the road at Rutgers. Overall, I'm not that concerned about that one, but weird things happen at Rutgers for some reason. And I'm higher on State, Rutgers. Yeah. So
you're lower on Rutgers. I'm higher on Rutgers. I have a friend that played with me and now coaches their special teams assistant at Rutgers. Yeah. So I love I love that. So I want him to bias. Do well. Yeah. Which is great though. I mean, I'm happy to have friends, right? But yeah, so this is our top 4. This is our top 25. Please leave a comment if you hate it or love it. We would love to hear it. We are going to also predict our playoffs. So starting it off, here are your teams. 8 versus 9, Kansas State versus Alabama. I think there's no question it's Alabama. Talent is all over on that team.
Yeah, I mean, there's not much to say. I'm, like we said, high on Avery Johnson. Kansas State's a fun team, good coach. Bama's insane. Yeah. Probably under-seeded here, truthfully.
Yeah, so Texas is the same way. Yeah. They're going to beat Boise State because they're just the better team. Yep. The Notre Dame-Arizona State game is a little bit more interesting, but we do end up going with Notre Dame. Yep. They are the better team to us, and, I mean, it is what it is. Like, They just end up being, they have the more talent around, and at this point in the year, I hope that they have figured out their quarterback situation and have a good their quarterbacks have a good understanding of, winning. Yeah. So that's my biggest thought for them. And then Ohio State versus Texas A&M. I think if we put Texas A&M, it would be too biased. Yep. But I'm super.
I was just gonna stay.
Super excited. I almost did. I was so close. We did pick Ohio State though. Yeah. We went with the top seed sweep last year. That happened. Top seed swept. The lower seed then swept. So we'll see what happens in that next round. No.
He's good at football.
I have a lot of head injuries. Thank you though. But let's go over to the next one, and we'll talk about these games. Now, do we have another sweep? Is the real question. Penn State versus Alabama. I think this is a very interesting game. I think Big Game James is a hell of a player. Hell of a player in this. You know what I mean?
This is so hard because every fiber in me wants Penn State to finally get over that hump, and they have all the talent that they've ever had. Yeah. And James Franklin, I'd be worried for him if he doesn't pull it off. But then Bama is scary. Also, forgot to even mention this. Did you see the picture of Jam Miller, their running back?
Yeah, he's huge.
So, yeah.
Look, we have Bama winning this game. I believe in Bama's talent. I think it makes a lot of sense that they've beat a big game James, who doesn't ever win games like this, kind of thing. So I think Bama goes on. Oregon versus Texas. I went back and forth. I think there's a way that we see Texas lose this game. I think Texas is probably more talented, but I love Dan Lanning as a coach. Yep. I think at this point in the year, they have probably figured out all their woes, and Dante Moore is him. If we're expecting him to be him, like we do. And so I am going to be picking Oregon, and I'm scared.
It comes down to what will the receivers do?
Sure.
Can they, A, mature throughout the year, and B, stay healthy and not suspended? So overall, I would want to take Oregon, but it's very scary.
Yes.
I'm very scared.
We are picking Oregon, and we were questioning the hell out of it, but it's okay because we think Oregon is really good also. Yeah. But last time this happened, they got smoked after they got 3 weeks of rest, by Ohio State. So it's a very interesting dynamic of how long you rest and how that can hurt your team.
I mean, I will say with that one, though, I think that Ohio State team, once they hit the playoffs, especially after the Michigan fiasco, it didn't matter.
No, yeah, that team was amazing.
Yeah.
Next up, we have Georgia versus Notre Dame. I don't think that Notre Dame can defense on Georgia is too good, and I think that it is Georgia's year to beat Notre Dame.
I don't think an inexperienced QB beats the Georgia team.
I agree.
More than anything, that's what it comes down to. And then Georgia's biggest issue being their receivers last year in the drops. They've righted that. So and Kirby Smart's still Kirby Smart. So.
Yeah, defense, and then just winning a gritty 20-17 game that's ugly, but we love it.
Probably so.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
And then you have the Clemson Tigers going against Ohio State. I think that this is where Ohio State loses in their second year. They do not have the talent that Clemson has. Clemson is the best talent team, in my opinion, in the NCAA. Yeah. And I think Dabo has played in these big games. He's going to get his team ready. We have Cade Klubnik, another year older. We have the defensive line. We have all of these things, man. They're just so good. Another year for two young receivers in TJ Moore and Brian Wesco. Offensive line returned 4 out of 5 of their starters. Like, there's nothing wrong with this team. They should win this game.
Yeah, I just don't see an inexperienced, well, by now played a full season, but Julian Sayin outplaying the Clemson defense.
Yeah.
And I don't see the Ohio State defense, as fun as they are, and Caleb Downs stopping.
It's not going to happen.
What Clemson's going to bring to the table with Cade Klubnik and all their receivers.
Yeah. So that means Alabama plays Oregon, even knowing I think the thing is, if Texas was there, I still have the same team winning, which is Alabama.
Right.
So either way, I think Alabama goes on. I think they're too talented defensively. I think Kalen does get over the hump that we talked about earlier. I think this is one of the most talented Alabama teams since the Tua, Devontae Smith, that whole team. And defensively, they are back to what they had been in the past. So
for sure.
They're not going 9-3 this year, is all I'm saying.
Right.
They're going a little bit farther than that, and I think they beat Oregon here.
Yep, I think this is where the fun of Oregon trying to figure out the receiver core ends. I think the Bama defense is going to be too good, even if they do get better throughout the year and stay healthy and stuff. I just don't think it'll matter.
Sure.
And then Bama's offense is just going to be insane this year.
Their O-line is insane. Their receiving core, they have Ryan Williams. They have Jeremy Bernard, who's a guy that we've been talking about, probably a top 3 round guy. Yep. They're very good. And then Georgia versus Clemson might be the hardest game to pick other than the Texas-Oregon game. Yep. I'm just going to ride with Dabo. Yep. Dabo has all of the talent on this team. And I think that, with all that talent comes, of course, the situation that you could let it down. You could underwhelm, but I don't think they do. I think that they are ready to be the best team in football.
It's maybe the best battle or duel of gamesmanship, amazing coaches that we'll see anytime soon or in recent history. Dabo versus Kirby Smart, both multiple national championships, both know how to develop their guys. But I do agree, Clemson wins. I'm too high on Cade Klubnik and the rest of that team for them to lose to Georgia.
I wish this was the finals, honestly, at the end of the day, because we will be talking about the finals. The finals are going to we're going to go straight to it. It is what it is. Yep. Clemson is the best team in football, in my opinion. They might hiccup here and there during the season. I don't think they lose 2 games like you did, because I just think they're too talented. Yep. And they go and they beat Alabama. They hand Kalen DeBoer the closest thing to a national championship he's had. Yep. Remember at Washington? I don't think it'll be as bad as that one. Yeah. Michigan ran over them, No. I don't think it'll be as bad as that one. I think it'll be a lot closer, but I still think that this Clemson team is just too good. I think Cade Klubnik is the number 1 overall pick in the draft if this happens. Yep. I think that all of their guys are getting pushed up draft boards, and we're going to see 5 Clemson players go out of the draft because they are so talented.
Probably so, and I completely agree. Cade Klubnik, like I said, just too good. But I do think this is going to be an insane game, basically back to when Bama and Clemson were going back and forth for several years. Yeah. And almost every game, came down to the wire, or the Hunter Renfrow touchdown.
Oh, dude.
All that kind of stuff. Onside kicks to open up halves.
We have had Clemson, Bama, this is maybe just us believing in 2019. Yeah. Just being hey, these teams are going back to where they were a few years ago, because we saw guys like Trevor Lawrence, Tua, these big names. Devontae Smith winning the Heisman. I think that we're going to have, one of those types of years where these two teams are just that much better. Yep. Alabama, of course, having to play in the SEC, so it's a little bit harder. But Clemson getting to run through the ACC and non-conference games against LSU and South Carolina, playing against Ohio State, playing against Georgia, playing against Alabama. Man, those are some names.
Yeah.
But I think they're the best team in football, and they just run through it and they do it.
I mean, this could be the playoffs last year was fun. This playoffs, how we have it set up at least, would easily be better in terms of the overall competition.
Probably. I mean, but that's what they're trying to do, right? They set it up that way on purpose, where we're not getting the Arizona State Texas game in the second round.
Right.
We're not getting Boise State, Penn State in the second round. We're going to get a ton of fun this year.
Yeah, redoing the seeding was a fantastic move.
I can't wait till they put 16 teams. That'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah. No more buys.
Yeah, no. But let me stop sharing. That was a long video, but we had to do it because, of course, this is the top 25 video, and it's the most important video of the year, basically, for us. We will not be putting out another college football video until after week 1. That is just how it goes. Now we're going to do our recap videos, and we're going to be doing our look aheads that we did last year. Those were a ton of fun, of course, but this video is just, it kind of encompasses everything we've done up to this point this year.
Yep.
You know, we've talked about all the draft guys that are coming up. We talked about all the teams, schedules, everything. Now we got to rank them. Then we get to do the playoffs. We just ran through the whole season and how we thought it would go. If you haven't watched the other videos, go check them out. And so many good things that we've talked about. And hopefully you enjoy them, because if you're a team that we're not high on, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, that's how it goes sometimes. Sorry, Auburn fans. Just is what it is.
Absolutely.
When we get to the recaps, the Super Dogs return.
Yes, they do.
And I get to jinx your picks every week.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Every time I wanted Miami to lose. And then Florida State goes 2-10 on the first time we ever record these videos. Like,
yeah. Tough. Wasn't your best first year in terms of luck.
I'm a Raiders fan and a Florida State fan, guys. It's awful. But yeah, we appreciate y'all hanging out with us, though. Go check out those other videos. Like, comment, subscribe on this video. Comment for sure. Tell us how you feel. And we'll see y'all on the next one.
Thank you all.